did so on the backs of young men who can't be treated. How dare you? Pay your debt. I've never asked for press, don't want any coverage. Montell_Williams, hashtag VA surge today. So if you go, Montell_Williams, hashtag VA surge. Hashtag. You can tweet me at Montell_Williams and use hashtag VA surge. Montell_Williams, hashtag VA surge. Something like all over the place. I got 100,000 people around the country, I think, tweeting the president saying, respond to me. Sign the paper, hopefully.
Well, we have a new moral authority on the military now and the Veterans Affairs. Well, Karen Finney, she'll always be the moral authority on everything on this program. The great Karen Finney of MSNBC, she is the moral authority of everything. But now we have Montell Williams. He is now basically, he has decided that he's the moral authority on anything that is allowed to be spoken on veteran affairs. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, is last night on Twitter, and I bring this up because the man's an absolute fraud. And I'll prove it to you. And I know that you're questioning yourself, and some people might even like Montell Williams. And I can tell you, everything that he's been saying for the most part about the veterans, I think is great. When I heard him last month on with Glenn Beck, I loved it. And I thought it was good to have different people talking about it. And I think everybody should talk about it. But apparently, Montell Williams, he's self-anointed himself as the only one that is allowed to discuss the issue, and he basically is the moral authority on it. And I want to get into Montell Williams a little bit on Twitter, because this happened to me. And first of all, he found me. Some idiot at the LA Times commented on one of my videos. Then the moral authority on the military, Montell Williams, decided to chime in. I was talking about the borders and Hobby Lobby, and he decided to take it that defend this woman about a quote that she had made about Andrew Tamarisi. So when I point out that he has no idea what he's talking about, I was talking about something completely different. To be able to save his face, he just has to go to the most worn-out, tired, useless line that everything I'm saying is very dangerous and dishonest. The one that liberals use about 1 million times a day, that has no meaning at all. They just throw it out there. Then sends it out to his Twitter followers. You start getting the retweets and things because he can't admit that he's wrong. Then we went back and forth, and he makes about 15 accusations that are all nonsense. I prove every single one of them wrong. But he can't admit that he's wrong. And then I realized afterwards that it's a little bit more than that. And he's done it with a lot of other people as well. He has anointed himself to be able to resurrect his loser career as the only person that can talk about the VA scandal. Not just me. As soon as I got done with it, I started Googling a little bit. He's done it with other people. He did it with the Daily Caller, which clearly, completely portrayed, the headline was absolutely right. Then he had to come after them because he's trying to brand himself as the moral high ground, the moral authority on this issue, because he doesn't want to share the spotlight on it. And then again, another article with Beth Rothstein on the Daily Caller a few days afterwards, doing the same exact thing he did on Twitter to me last night, doing to her, and he keeps on doing this. And I bring all this up because if you cared so much about an issue, why wouldn't you want everybody to talk about it? Why would you only be the one that's able to talk about it? And if you are that person, are you really standing with the military? Are you really fighting with the veterans? Or are you just trying to promote yourself? And that's exactly what Montell Williams is. He's a little fraud. I got news for you. And I bring all this up because, and I can tell you, I think everything that he said about the VA was correct, and I think it was dead on. But my problem is that apparently nobody else is allowed to talk about it except for him. And I played the montage for you in the beginning, Mr. Oh, he doesn't want any press. He doesn't want anything out of it. But yet, every time he says that, hashtag Montell_Williams, hashtag VA surge. And I'm going to go through my little Twitter thing at the end. But before that, I just want to show you exactly who this man is. Now, I started to think it was a little bit odd that the man that cares so much about the veterans, that he cries almost on point, almost the same minute of every time he appeared in the media. At the same exact spot, he got so choked up that he just lost it. On Glenn Beck's TV show, did it again on the radio show, almost the same point. Neil Cavuto with Fox, and in the speech, almost every single time at the same spot, he loses it and breaks down crying. So now I'm starting to think maybe that's a little bit of kind of trying to oversell the issue a little bit. And I wonder, who is he really fighting for? Is it the veterans or is it himself? And you see all these things that he's just trying to clear out the conversation of anybody else that wants to discuss the issue. And it also reminded me of a few years back when Montel was appearing on Dr. Oz. Now, he appeared on Dr. Oz to talk about he had some type of medical procedure done when he was 19 years old. I don't even remember exactly what it was. But this has led to traumatic food therapy for him, that he binges on food and he overeats for emotional therapy. Now, I'm thinking to myself, this man's been in the spotlight for 25 years. He's in great shape. This is a man that just binges and goes to overeating because of emotional stress. And it actually happened to be at the same time he starts breaking down and crying the same thing, that this procedure that was done to him, it's so emotional that he overeats still to this day about it. But it happened to be at the same time that he signed on to a company that was this new Living Well, Health Foods, and it's actually what was able to break his junk food habit. So I'm just thinking it's a little bit of a pattern with the man that cries every time that he goes on TV because he's just so choked up. He just cares about the issue so much. And I'm also remembering back in 2008 when The Shyster was on Fox and Friends, and they come out, the discussion was about Heath Ledger. Now, this is, again, everything he said is true. Everything he says about this is right. He goes into a tirade. They ask him about Heath Ledger. Just goes right into, well, you know what? I don't even want to talk about that now. I think it's a disgrace how the media refuses to talk about the people that have died in Iraq. They refuse to talk about the people that have been killed in the military. It's a disgrace that we don't know their names. And I can tell you, I agree. I can say this. I agree with everything Montel was saying there. And especially at the time, the military was completely 100% forgotten. And he talks about someone that had just died, I think it was the day before that he was on the show, and how it's a disgrace, he turns to the anchors, that they don't even know his name. Now, they go back to him, the man that's preaching the moral high ground on this, and he didn't know. And also, I think it's very important to remember here, this is at the same time, he had a talk show every single day on television, the Montell Williams Show. What are you calling them out for? Why weren't you doing shows on this? Why didn't you end every show, if you cared so much, the last couple of minutes, talking about the people that were maybe killed that day? Maybe do a story. Maybe put a picture on that. Why weren't you doing that? But no, you're going to go to Fox and Friends and preach to them that, oh, it's a disgrace what they're doing? And I think it's very important to bring it up because we're recognizing a pattern here. Why was he on Fox and Friends? Oh, that's right. He was pushing a book to sell. Oh, so it seems like a little bit of a pattern here of the man that just cares so much. The man that's just so emotional he gets choked up all the time. Montell Williams, you are an absolute fraud. I'm sorry to break the news to you. If you cared so much, why wouldn't you want everybody else to talk about these issues? I think everybody should be talking about this. I think it's great, everything that you said about the VA. But it looks like you're just trying to clear anybody else out that wants to discuss the issue, aren't you? And I know everything that I said, it was very dishonest, wasn't it? I think I would say showing up to a child support hearing and being asked to pay $7,500 in fees and saying that you're not able to pay for it because you're broke, because your radio show was canceled, which I think lasted about 8 weeks. What was with that radio show? Well, was it a circus that came to town, or was it actually a radio show? It lasted about 8 weeks. But you couldn't afford it because you were broke, and you arrived to the hearing by a chauffeur. That sounds a little dishonest to me. But I just want to bring all this up now that we kind of see a little bit and get to the backstory of the fraud that Montell Williams is, the self-anointed moral authority on the military. You can't speak about veteran affairs. Only Montell Williams can do that because he has a career to resurrect. And it worked for him before, so I guess he's going back to the same playbook. So I just want to bring this up, and I think it's important to know that you found me on Twitter, and you were wrong. You had no idea what you're talking about. I was talking about something completely different. Then to try and save your face and clear anybody else out. Oh, yeah, it's very dishonest, very distasteful, very dangerous. I love that term. Very dangerous to the situation. So I just want to bring this up, and you've tried to talk about your career versus my career. It's important to know that I just entered the political talk business. I just started this month. I love sports talk radio, so I'm just starting out, and I would think that the old veteran that you are, that's accusing me of pushing antics and howling at the moon, I would think that someone with your stature, and since you find everything I say just so dishonest, so dangerous, why don't you come on and talk about it with me, big man? I think that since everything I'm saying, it's so dishonest, so unhelpful, so dangerous, I think you would pretty much just end my career right there. I mean, isn't that the case? If everything that I was saying is nothing but lies, I'm staging things, I'm adding these very dangerous topics to the discussion. If all that's true, you should come on and you should be able to 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes on the phone with me. You should wipe up the floor with me. I mean, I would think my career would be over if that's the case. So you're the one that found me. You're the one that's lying about me on Twitter. You're the one that had about 10 accusations that I responded back the next second that was completely contradictory to everything you said, but that doesn't matter. So I just want to say this. Why don't you come on then? Why don't you come on my podcast? And why don't you end my career then? Since everything I'm saying is just so wrong, so off base. But you won't, will you? Because you're a big fraud, Montel. And I welcome you to come on because I want everybody to talk about this. I want everybody to talk about the VA scandal. I want everybody to talk about the Marine held in Mexico because I think it's important, as everybody else does, to discuss the issue, except for one person. One person wants to have it on their own and wants to have the spotlight because they're trying to resurrect their loser career, because that's what it's really about. So I'll take a break here, and this is funny too, in my show outline that I was doing last night before Montell Williams found me on Twitter. I was going through things that I wanted to talk about. One of the things actually was the VA, and I wanted to discuss that the VA system, it doesn't work. You have a doctor in the VA system, they usually see 7 or 8 patients a day. The private sector sees 25. An orthopedic surgeon in the VA does 1 to 2 operations a day. Private sector does 5 to 6 a day. But I don't know if that would be dishonest or dangerous to the situation. So I need to find a person that could provide me with the moral high ground on that. I know. Maybe a washed-up TV host that used to bring people on that would confront their ex-wives on television and do DNA tests to prove that all 10 children were his, or somebody that would bring on psychics that would tell parents of missing children on live television that their children were dead. I think that would be a good moral authority on how to discuss the issue. I think that would be a guy that could really tell me what's dangerous and what's dishonest. So the floor is yours, Montel. Since you found me, and I'm so dishonest and hurtful to the situation, I'd like to invite you, the moral authority on the military, Montell Williams, to let us know how the discussion should be discussed. I'll even make it easy for you. I'll turn my mic off between minute 3 and 4 because it seems like that's when you like to cry. I'll be right back.